Hello, and welcome back to the 14th installment of Reconciling Zero as we go in search of Effective Zen. The question we posed last week was, what do we make of the Buddha's gates? Equanimity, direct knowledge, self-awakening, and unbinding. Recall that as part of our quest to answer the question, is this Zen Mountain? We are examining the notion of zero-buddhism, the conditions necessary for the activity of Buddhism to arise. Previously, we identified three such conditions. First, we need a clear picture of the highest good, namely the realization of infinite mind. Second, we need a clear picture of the path to the realization of infinite mind. Last, we need an understanding of the obstacles expected along this path. For this, in the next few episodes, we will address the second of the three conditions, a clear picture of the path to the realization of infinite mind. Recall the quote from the Buddha's first discourse, "I awakened to the middle way, which gives rise to vision, which gives rise to knowledge, which leads to equanimity, to direct knowledge, to self-awakening, to unbinding." In the last 2 weeks, we paused and investigated the notion of stillness and frameworks. Stillness as a vital characteristic of activity, and frameworks as necessary instructional devices. And we also noted the two essential components of all frameworks, that they have two fundamental states, and that one of those states must be universally preferred. The end of suffering, for example. So over the next few weeks, we will examine the Buddha's four gates from the perspective of stillness, while holding them up to the Buddha's framework of suffering and the Zen master Joshu Sasaki's framework of clarity. As we look at each of the four gates, we will be asking the following questions. First, how is it that one arrives at any particular gate? Second, how does one pass through that gate? Third, what changes from pre-gate to post-gate? And last, as teachers, what is the Buddha doing at this time, and what is Sasaki doing to help their students progress along the path? And today we will look at the first gate, equanimity. Let's look at it by answering the four questions. First, how does one arrive at the equanimity gate? Well, generally one arrives at the equanimity gate with one or more unanswered life questions, believing that Buddhism can provide some answers. One may have read about Buddhism or perhaps talked with someone about it. Next, how does one pass through the equanimity gate? Simply, one passes through the gate by experiencing stillness. And for most, at this point, the experience of stillness manifests as a remarkable moment of peace and clarity. A mode that is often very unique and memorable and ultimately desirable, and therefore quite motivating. Third, what changes from pre-gate to post-gate? After passing through the equanimity gate, there is now the presence of real possibilities, mostly stemming from the experience of what might be called wonder, or certainty, or harmony. And the natural question arises, can this special mode of awareness be duplicated? Can one become perpetually still, perpetually peaceful? The last question, as teachers, what is the Buddha doing at this time, and what is Sasaki doing to help their students progress along the path? Well, the Buddha is presenting the Eightfold Noble Path, and during one-on-one meetings with students, Sasaki is stirring and acknowledging individual demonstrations of stillness. In addition, both reinforce the notion that true stillness is within everyone's reach, a human birthright, if you will. So that's it for the equanimity gate. But how might we sum up the activity required for this first gate in just a few words? Well, how about this? Strive first to experience stillness. And so now we have a rough idea of the equanimity gate that the Buddha identified in his first lecture. 1 down, 3 to go. So for next week, we pose the question, what do we make of the direct knowledge gate? And until next episode, cheers!